All right, so in the last video, we looked at some array basics, how to create them, how to access values by index, and so on. Now I want to look at some of the methods that we can use. So let's create an array. You can put whatever you want in it. I'm just going to put some random numbers. All right, and then I'm going to just log out the array. So in addition to the values here, if we go ahead and click this arrow, you see there's this prototype chain, and this has all the different methods that we can use on this array, which is there's quite a bit here. So obviously we're not going to go over all of them right now. We're going to go over some of the really useful, kind of simple ones just to mutate the array and get values from it. And then later on, we'll look at some of the more advanced stuff, including high order array methods. So let's start off with push, which will just put a value on the end of the array. In the last video, I showed you how we could do that using the length property as an index, but what you would probably do is just push onto it. So you would say array.push, and then let's say we want to add 100, and now you'll see 100 gets added on to the end. Now, if you want to take a value off of the very end, off the last element, then you would use the pop method. So array.pop, and we wouldn't pass anything in because it's just going to pop off whatever is on the end. Now you'll see that 100 is gone. Okay, if we want to do the opposite and add on to the beginning, then we can use the unshift method. And let's say we want to add 99. Now you'll see 99 gets added to the 0 index. And if I want to take it off of the beginning, then we would use shift. So array.shift, and now 99 is gone. Okay, we also can reverse the array with the reverse method, pretty self-explanatory. So now 15, which was at the end, is now at the beginning. Now, these methods that we just looked at, these are used to manipulate the current array, right? So when we console log the array after they go through these methods, it's different, right? Now it's reversed and so on. We did add some stuff on, but then we took it back off. So the next batch of methods I want to show you are ones that we can use to get something from the array, either get a value from it or just get some information from it. So I'm going to create a variable up here, just like we've been doing, just for our output. And then let's console log that variable. And I want to show you the includes method, which will allow you to check and see if a specific value is in that array. So I'm going to say x equals and then array.includes, and let's see if we pass in 20, which we know is in there, you'll see it gives me true. So you're always going to get a true or false from this based on if the value is in there. Now, if we put like 200, which we know is not in there, then we're going to get false. All right. So the next one I want to show you is index of, and what that does is it'll give you the index of a specific value. So if I do, let's say index of, and let's pass in one of these values, we'll do 15, and I save that, we get 0. Now the reason it's 0, you can look up here, and it's not 0 here obviously, but the reason it is because we ran this reverse. Okay, so the script runs top to bottom, so since it's reversed, then it's put in the 0 position. So what I'm going to do is just comment out these ones that we did that actually change the array, just so we're working with the same array we're looking at up at the top. All right, so now if we look at the index of 15, it's at 4. If we look at the index of 34, that should be the first one, which is 0. Now, if you put something in here that doesn't exist, like 340, you get a -1. Okay, so a lot of times you'll run this through an if statement, and just know that if whatever you pass in here is not there, it's going to give you a -1. Now the next two I'm going to show you are pretty similar. It's slice and splice, and both of them will return selected elements in the array. So I'm going to start off with slice, and I'll kind of show you the differences as we go. So array.slice. And what this takes in is the first is going to be the start index. So where do I want to start in this array? Let's say we want to start here, which is the 1 index. So we'll pass that in. Now, if I don't pass anything else in, what that's going to give me is that value and everything after that, as you can see here. So 55 and everything after. Let's say I want to get just 55, 95, and 20. So that and the two after. So then I would do 1, 2, 4. All right, so how that works is we specify the 1 index and we want to go to the 4. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, and we stop at before the 4. Okay. Now this is returning this array, okay, the 3 that I selected, into this X variable. It's not actually changing the array. If I log the array in addition to that, you'll see it's unchanged. Okay, so keep that in mind about slice. Now splice, you can do kind of the same thing, but it does manipulate, or it does change the original array. So if I say X equals array.splice, and the arguments we pass in, or I should say the second argument, is a little different. The first is the start index, just like with slice. The second is the number of elements that we want to go over. So let's say I'm starting at 1, which is 55, and I want to go over 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I should get 55 to 15. So if I do 4 here and I save, now look what we're logging. We're logging X, which is what we basically plucked out, 1 to 1 and then 4 over, so 55 to 15. Now the array that I'm logging only has 34 in it because I basically plucked the rest out. Okay, so slice doesn't do that. It doesn't change the initial array. Splice does. Not only are you taking it out and putting whatever into the variable 1 to 4, but you're also changing the array. So you're not only getting the values, you're deleting them from the initial array. All right, now if you just want to, let's say you just want to delete one item, then you can, let's comment that out so that we have our initial array. What you could do is say X equals, and then say array.splice, and let's say we want to get rid of the 20. So we know that's 0, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put in the start at 3 and just 1. I only want to take out 1. And I'll save that, and now you can see we have the 20 in X. So it's set to X, and then the array that we're logging doesn't have 20 in it anymore because we took it out. So that's how you can remove a single element from an array. Now the last thing I want to show you is how you can chain methods. So I'm going to set X here equal to, and let's just comment out the splice because we know that changes our initial array. And let's move this down here. So I'm going to set X equal to array, and then I'm going to use slice here. So slice, let's say 1, and we want to go 4 over from 1. So that's going to basically give us, again, it'll give us 55 through 15, right? If I save this as it is, and we look at the console log of X, we don't need array anymore. If I look at the console log of X, we get 55. Well, actually, I'm sorry, I want to use splice. If you use slice, it's only going to give you the 3 because it goes to the 4 index. Splice will actually go 4 over. And then what I want to do is reverse that. So I'm going to do dot reverse. And if I save that, now you'll see it gives me that array that splice created and then reversed it. If I wanted to change that to a string, I could do toString. And if I save that, now I have it as a string. And then I could use a method on a string. Remember the char at? So char at, you basically put in an index and it will give you that character. So let's say 0, save that, and I get 1. Okay, because the first one was 15, the first number. So you can chain on methods like this, and it's not just with arrays, as you can see, it's with strings, it's with anything that makes sense. I mean, it depends on what the method returns. This splice, we know that returns an array, and I can run reverse on an array. Then I can turn an array into a string, and then I can get a character from a string. If I just run char at on the reversed array, that's not going to work. It says reverse char at, it's not a function. Okay, what it really means is it's not a function on whatever we're putting it on. if I change that back and it's a string, then it is a function that works. All right, and you'll see chaining like this all throughout JavaScript. So in the next video, I want to get a little more acquainted with arrays. So we're going to look at things like nesting and concatenation with arrays. We're going to look at something called the spread operator, and we'll go from there.